that's what you want. And there's still a lot of counter picks available. I mean, yes, Olaf is great and a very strong blind pick, but I think they took it away because it was blindable for HANWHA since they have counter pick and they just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, it also just makes things difficult to pick, to be honest, when the Olaf is kind of looming. There's not a lot of great options into it. Even the Jax doesn't necessarily work, even if that has been the best option that they've had. Poppy going to be the lock-in. I actually love this. It's flexible between the two remaining positions that were left over. And so you could be just slamming that into the bottom lane.
This is the strong pushing lane they were looking for. The Misfortune.
Oh my god, this wombo combo. I was talking about it, right? Like the Rumble is such a good pick for what they had already with the Shen and the Jarvan, not to mention the miasma that goes on the ground. And now you have a bullet time layered over the top. Thank goodness they have the Keeper's Verdict, because otherwise this could have been an absolute disaster.
That Cataclysm value is going to be really high. Let's see what the counter pick is here.
Oh god, it is on. It is. I shouldn't have put that into... I feel like I manifested this, and I apologize to everyone, especially to the Gen G fans. This is that it's a thing that's all over the place, and now it's infecting my brain. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to get onto the Rift for game number 1, Gen G versus HLE. Whoa! All right, HANWHA Life Esports fans in full voice here today as Keen. Oh, he's the train conductor. Love that skin. Beautifully done. Nice little deep ward here for Zeus. Does come down as he does miss the first harpoon, but
he was just charging his heat more.
Yeah, or something. Capybara there, Chovy. Do really like that. Yeah, they just emote for a little bit, and then it's let's electrocute each other or burn each other in Zeka's case. In goes the light, finds a nice taunt onto Ruler.
So that's a level 1 for Misfortune. Kind of heal up, try to get a little bit more tempo in this lane. Large amount of base stats that Misfortune does have at level 1 too. Every time she autos, especially the empowered one, do a lot of damage. Double up hurts too.
The love tap is pretty powerful here, but the bouncing grenades have been, or dancing grenades, going to be working out here for Ruler.
Well,
that does soften up Gumayusi. Yeah, they do bounce, but technically...
The dancing is kind of like a euphemism, let's be honest.
True.
They're bouncing.
All right, Delight will take a little damage from Duro. Does feel like a good Poppy support angle. With the Shen already shown, does give you the opportunity to do it. Does that count as a cast?
Delight's like, I'm not dashing, I'm just walking on top of you.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna get it done, as they will hit level 2, but this bottom lane is supposed to be advantage to MF in the early levels. This is the lane they chose to try to win with. Guma loves his Misfortune. Not even playing it with Aurel in this case because they have that Jarvan set up.
Oh, Chovy, he's burning. These Twin Fangs are going to really hurt. Zeka with a lot of control here in this lane. Actually double the farm right now. Cassiopeia doing what it says on the tin in this matchup.
I see a lot of red-gold leads across the board here for HANWHA Life. Even Zeus turning that topside matchup around, stabilizing there against the Oner, who had a little bit of extra push on him. As you can see across the board here, some pretty big champions for this squad here. Ruler 7-3 and 5-2 for Chovy on that Anivia. So obviously a little bit less meta is the Oner right now. It's Keen's first of the season. Kanavi, 9 games of Jarvan, which is, at the beginning of the year, I kept getting mad when he was allowed to play it because it was just not fair.
Yeah, he was just picking it every single time he had an opportunity. And we'll be able to get to this bottom crab a little bit earlier on. Double longsword as Canyon makes his way back from base. As Chovy almost going to be poisoned down to the egg here in this lane. Might need to go for a bit of an earlier teleport than usual.
Navi looking for the egg snipe.
He is going to get it and takes the passive with a flag. That was cute.
That was such a cute play there. Zeka's got to be communicating with him the whole time. Like, I think you can get it with a flag. Wow. All right.
That's really annoying. That flag does not do a lot of damage.
Well, the crazy thing is it means that Chovy's back is messed up because it's such a long stasis that he's just going to stay now with his full health, but he doesn't get his mana back.
Yep, and he also doesn't have the passive now. So Zeka teleports back to lane, and Chovy is under very real threat. As Canyon
is also under threat.
Yeah, speaking of threat, Keen is going to get the flash out here as Canyon just going to safeguard his way forward. The Tempest doesn't land, but I don't know whether this Alcove Gaming will work, and there is first blood over the Lee Sin. Canyon, he can certainly do damage with this, as Steadfast Presence will deny the taunt from Delight, and a bit of a 2v2 here in mid will ensue.
Yeah, that was a pretty big win, especially because Zeus flashed and wasn't able to save him. Kanavi was coming over, but was just way too far away. We'll just back off into his Krugs now.
Oh, Duro going to take a lot of damage from Zeka as these Twin Fangs. One more would actually mean the end, especially after that Noxious Blast connected, but Zeka will let him live for now.
Touch burns so hard. And Zeka is kiting like a madman as well, just maximizing the damage there. Stutter Step is real as Delight coming over here to a Ruler with no friends with this wave crashing, but I think Ruler is going to be totally fine. Yep, just going to look for another plate. Well, the first plate, I should say, since they don't actually have one, but another hit on that plate.
Well, it does want to go back home. We'll see whether he does answer the cull that Gumayusi's already built.
Really far up in the lane here, and he's just dead. He flashes the knock up here, but Canyon was always going to be able to run him down. He had a ward in the river as well, so a bit surprised by that play. Buys some time, but doesn't really mean anything. And now he's down flash, so that could be another problem for him in the future.
Ooh, HLE will be able to get first track on this Dragon. Going to be a first Drake Ocean as well, which will be very, very nice for all
they
of these
were
lanes.
Able to stop Ruler's backs repeatedly, so there's just no way that he or anyone can come over here for a contest. Ocean into Chemtech is a fiery start for a potential big soul.
Yeah, Chovy having a much better time now that that Glacial Storm is available. The fun times for Zeka seem to have dissipated for the moment.
Both mid laners with flash, so very scary times. Zeka doesn't have TP anymore, but we'll be able to get this back off without a problem.
Yeah, Buckler hits the ground. Duro will be able to collect that and takes a bunch of damage as a response. Don't know whether it was necessarily worth, but that's okay. And looks like Delight will just be able to go home. So Duro checks that one. Now they will be able to zone Gumayusi away. Minion wave was dealt with though.
Guma has a
significant
lead in farm, so does Zeka. That's why even though with first blood over to GenG, they're actually really even in gold right now. The call is also on the way for Guma, so he'll cash that one in, and we'll have a pretty nice spike towards this early mid. Kanavi on this Jarvan wants to be getting a lot done here. Was able to make a few impacts on the map, but no kills just yet for him, which is quite unusual.
Chovy, the flash forward from Zeka. Chovy gonna have to flash to get out of the way of the taunt. Smart idea there, but flash for flash in the mid lane, and Chovy taking a lot more damage as a response.
I think the junglers might be paying a visit pretty soon, and this might turn into a bit of a 3v3 in the mid lane for a while because of the flash trade that Zeka was looking for there.
I think the minions might disappear though, so GenG pretty happy about that. Duro comes on over to find out what Delight is doing. Kanavi moves in. Remember, Chovy does not have the flash. Steadfast Presence was beautiful to answer, and they do look to turn it here. Chovy with that electrocute onto Kanavi, doing a pretty convincing amount of damage there.
As expected, it did turn into a 3v3, but that Steadfast Presence was the one that ended the aggression for HANWHA Esports, and that's the end of that. If he doesn't hit that, actually a pretty scary moment there for Chovy in the mid lane, but Duro presses the button at the exact right time. Delight's not able to find what he was looking for, and we just reset back to this 1-0 game state here, with both compositions having some pretty good scaling. I do think that Canyon has been able to have the better early game here, and that's what Lee Sin often grants you. Not playing into the Skarner, found that pressure point on the overextended Rumble top side, and now looking to hover top side here for these grubs on spawn, as he has control vision, and his Ornn has prio. Zeka's not even in lane just yet, so this should be GenG with a triple grub start. Kanavi's going to come over for the contest, but he needs a little bit more help.
Yeah, control goes down. There's the flash in! Flash from Kanavi as well. Chovy is well and truly egged, and Canyon not going to be able to do too much to answer this. Yeah, he just gets out. That is the answering kill over to HLE. And I think one grub did go over to GenG, but that's all they're going to be able to get. As now Ruler fighting against Gumayusi. He's level 6, does have that bullet time, throws it down here, and Ruler looking a little worse for wear now.
I mean, yeah, well, he walked out just enough. Now he's going to use his ult.
Yeah. Let's see whether Gumayusi can dodge any of these. Barrier is now... Oh! Pops in with the fourth shot!
I didn't think that was enough damage, but
neither did Gumayusi!
Yeah, he would have flashed it if he thought it was. And it was just enough there. He had the Dirk in hand, and that's enough extra lethality damage to take him out there.
Oh
and
my gosh.
that was such a volatile moment because I thought when Ruler stepped up there and the bullet time was channeled, if he didn't leave instantly, Gumai just flashed double upped on him and then killed him. But instead, Ruler pulls the ultimate out after backing away, and Guma does not flash that fourth shot.
Well, Canyon also playing respectfully here, as the Rift Scuttler will be donated over to Kanavi. Delight, good positioning there. Zeka with control of the wave. And GenG retain a very slight gold lead as a result of Ruler making his way back into this lane. Canyon a lot more battle stats here with the Eclipse start as well. I actually really do like that. So allows him to be a bit more brawly. I
have a feeling this was going to happen when we panned over to the replay. I didn't think he was going to die necessarily, but I knew there was definitely going to be action in the mid lane. As Chovy's dead a second time here, and Zeka is almost 1,000 gold up off this plate. He will be over Chovy in this game, and this is a very early lead for a Cassiopeia. And in that last play, we were looking at towards the Grubs, which I guess we're not going to look at now because we have this play instead.
That's how before.
He said, I'm going to fight for this for Misfortune.
And still has the flash, actually.
He gets just far enough away where he knows Aguma can't flash on him anymore. Oh. He was surprised as well.
이게 죽네. 와.
And also, there was a Poppy coming down, as you guys could see in the peripheral there. So he probably would have been in trouble either way. And Chovy here just gets Cataclysm by the Jarvan. Smite to finish.
Flag, drag, Cataclysm, and more fighting here towards his bottom side. Ruler does have his steel caps now as well, so feeling very battle ready. But it's not going to do him all that much good if the Rumble or Cassiopeia ever get on top of him. As Delight just get queued here by Duro momentarily. Kanavi moving on down. There is a great steadfast presence. The reaction time from Duro has been fantastic.
He doesn't have it for a Kanavi engage, but Kanavi's not going to be able to get access. However, they do end up having the river now controlled for a potential dragon take here. Second of the game is up and spawned now.
Yeah, they need to keep his verdict. There is level 6 for Duro. Glad that the LCK did show us that one, as there is Delight taking a lot of damage. Gumayusi makes it rain, but Ruler is able to throw some damage through here as well. They all scatter, though, as the bullet time comes in. And now Safeguard will get Canyon out of there. Flag and Drag from Kanavi doesn't do too much, but there's a Cataclysm. Duro flashes away. Zeka not really finding an angle here, and Kanavi getting it locked down. There is Canyon grabbing that kill. And GenG, I think it's their turn to take a Drake.
And Zeus also TP'd down, didn't have Equalizer. And I think they could have made a few different choices here to, for example, just keep their Rumble topside, right? They could have decided to back away from that fight. The ultimate there from Gumayusi, the bullet time was very low impact, as GenG just did not care about it, ignored it entirely. We are going to have Infernal Soul here as we're tied up now a Drake apiece. And Zeka also couldn't really get anything done in this fight. So watch how this starts off initially here. Guma's in this angle, right? And they're going to try to make a play here with... Okay, never mind. We can't do replays. It's illegal.
Yeah, Zeka is going to take a lot of damage here. Kick Flash does come down. Petrifying Gaze hits onto Chovy, but he's still going to be able to kill the snake. And Delight just has to watch and then leave. Finally, some revenge here for the mid laner of GenG, who's kind of being bullied.
GenG in a really nice spot now in this game, getting the dragon, getting the kill here onto Zeka. Zeka also lost his flash in the exchange as Canyon flashes to deny him any sort of outplay with his ultimate. It's a really brilliant play here from the Lee Sin. Watch him come over on this angle.
Yeah, Hex Flash does come
flashes, but he flashes for the kick. And it ends up stunning Chovy, the ultimate there, but Chovy doesn't care. Canyon's having a day out on the Lee Sin, and they played a little bit of Lee Sin chicken in the draft, but at the end of the day, Jarvan came up for Kanavi, and he's had a decent game, but Canyon has definitely had the larger impact.
And that's the dangerous thing about picking your jungler in that stage of the draft as well. I think if they had foregone that, then it could have been an opportunity to get a bunch of bans out, right? Then maybe some of these other options could have been left up and available, like the Olaf, for example, like the Corki, which could have done some good here in this draft. However,
it does feel like such a jungle off, though. You know what I mean? Like, both junglers have made such a large impact. Like, Canyon's has been definitely better, but Kanavi is no slouch. Like, he's been camping the mid lane, gets another flash out of Ruler here.
And Keen has his Rook completed, so this On is just cruising through this game. 200 gold ahead of the Rumble right now. Oftentimes we talk of the Ornn being a counter because you can fall behind but then be more useful later. He didn't even do the fall behind part. He's just kind of okay. Now able to build a few more items and head back towards the bottom side of the map this time. Light will take some damage. Good deadly flourish there from Ruler. But nothing more going to really happen here. A lot of cinders for Canyon to pick up.
They wanted to set up for a dive onto Ruler since he lost his flash, but there's just such a good cover here from Canyon. Duro's also in the area, so I think what HLE were trying to do there was pretty obvious to everyone on GenG, and they just did not allow it to happen, and Ruler is just going to be totally fine, despite the lack of flash.
Cool, Kanavi throwing a flag down, but it looks like this crab will not be fought over at the moment. 17 seconds on the Rift Herald. Stefan's presence on cooldown for the next little moment, as Kanavi not going to get hit by that Q. Vision of everyone up and available. Full information here for both GenG and HLE as they fight for the wave. But kind of awkward when it is this Jin and Misfortune that just kind of end waves over and over again.
It's a really nice time for the Misfortune right now because she has that obvious BT advantage to where she could just kind of chunk at Ruler, but needs more help to actually really threaten any serious damage as Canyon's going in and then he's going out.
Yeah, I can kind of just dance around them here. Cataclysm does come on through, though. Kickback comes on down, and there's the safeguard to get him out of there. But now it's Keen's turn to try and get an engage, but he gets taunted, isn't able to throw the train back, and now Duro burnt down to a crisp. The curtains have now been called. The first bullet misses, second lands, third doesn't go anywhere, and they take out the Ornn. And yes, the last one hits onto Zeus, but it does basically nothing. And HLE will be gifted a Rift Herald.
Now, Zeus, his TP did damage. Unfortunately for Keen, he was trying to set something up on the other side, but there was no way to link the two. And Duro falls first, Keen falls second. This Herald is a steal at best for Canyon, but he'd lose his life for it. He doesn't opt in, and Ruler now in trouble.
Yeah. Zeka does get a little bit angry here. Deadly Flourish does come down. Stance United! And Chovy's down to the egg and then into the grave. Duro might follow, but there is the safeguard. And GenG just falling apart in the blink of an eye here.
In the snap of their fingers.
Oh, nice little kickback onto Guma. He's overextended and Canyon will shut him down.
That's
HLE going to have that gold lead removed from the 2,000 mark, but it's still very large.
That's Canyon right there. You know, he's going to make something of the situation, but look at this here. Canyon running a little bit low on buttons, uses the kick, and then as his cooldowns come back, he's able to make some fancy poker happen. But look at the difference between what Keen does here and what the Rumble does. The Rumble's instantly stunned, but there isn't enough damage to take him out, so he just does so much with this equalizer, prevents the retreat from Duro, and now this Jin can't get access, and HANWHA Life Esports are a wedge between the flanking Ornn and the carries on the other side, as then Ruler here gets gunned down. The ultimate here is, I believe, sidestepped there by Chovy, who gets taunted and egged anyways. He goes down, and then Canyon says, Guma, that's just a step too. Really, Canyon was fishing for like so long. He's like, nah, can't actually be this greedy. Not going to allow it.
Yeah, really nice. Deadly Flourish there as well.
Like, Canyon was, he saw that play like 3 steps ahead.
I think most of us did, except for Gumayusi is now Keen. Let's see whether he can actually get this one to push back, as there is the Drake steal away from Canyon. Delight in trouble, bullet time, fantastic. Flash away as Canyon gets him to safety, and Keen being a massive frontline, the curtains being called. Kanavi gets out, and they're a little out of range. Last shot does connect onto Zeka, and that is GenG finding themselves an angle.
Kind of came out of a replay suddenly there, so not entirely sure how that all started, because so much of this fight is about the setup that is in place. But I can tell you that Ruler wasn't under any threat, and he did a lot of work. Taking a look at it again, Canyon's on the Dragon. Herald is used here, but the wall is really to die any sort of potential value out of it. Duro goes in to give a front line here. Canyon collapses with Ruler there and takes out the Shen.
Keeper's verdict, absolutely fantastic from Duro as well. Just evicts Gumayusi in the middle of his ultimate, and that means no more damage.
So a small victory there for GenG, but a victory nonetheless. They get the second Dragon for them of the game. They get that kill onto Delight. The setup was superior, as Chovy also, I think, is going to be okay here with this rotation up of Duro. I don't think they can dive him. He's holding this wave back as well, just to be able to farm these next.
Oh no, these little minions! They're getting so confused.
This is exactly what he wants, though.
Yep. And Duro going to deny the engage from Kanavi. Steadfast Presence value has been quite high so far into the Jarvan and the Shen. And Swifty's going to be picked up here by Gumayusi. Going to be booking it around the Rift. As not quite at a second item yet for Rula. A little bit unfortunate. 1.2k the advantage for Guma. That's going to get him to 2 items before this gen.
Chovy has been maxing his E in this game, by the way. 5 points in it right now. Canyon looking for the kick play on the Kanavi. See if it's going to mean anything, though, as he turns it.
Yeah, that is going to be Equalizer down. That is a very deadly sin. And I don't know what the idea was there
Canyon
necessarily.
I think he was, he saw a play 3 steps ahead that wasn't there this time, as he is just dropped. That's his first death of the game, and that's a pretty durable Jarvan he was engaging into with no follow-up whatsoever. Chovy's in the top lane, the Jhin not even really able to impact that play whatsoever, so kind of an odd one, to say the least.
Yeah. Shout out to the LCS Classic. As okay. Let's see it one more time. I guess he was just wanting to use
Ruler
this extra
here.
gold. Oh, but the Flag and Drag negates the kick.
Like, Ruler is here, but there's just more HLE members on this side of the map.
Yeah, everyone was kind of ready.
I was even, like, in a weird way, different than I expected, but worse when I watched it back.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that now Gumayusi is very far ahead, is able to look for a back here. We'll see how close to another full item he is going to be, as 2 of them have been completed finally for Ruler. And so Gumayusi probably looking for a last Whisper item of some kind.
2 minutes ahead is Zeka right now on his Rod of Ages, so he'll be hitting that spike a little bit earlier. Not always the biggest difference maker, but sometimes can be in a brief interim. Canyon, again, probably wants to leave here.
Yeah, getting some vision down where he can. 1.5 minutes on this Drake will be soul point for Gen G. As Kanavi moves in, teleport here for Keen. Looking to take matters into his own hands. The Ram can come out. Steadfast Presence. So good. Keeper's Verdict gets rid of 2. Zeka kind of on his lonesome, but hadn't been turned on yet. They look for the Shen first, and they'll find him. As Canyon gets knocked up, Kanavi goes in. Zeus already doing a lot of damage. As Gumayusi with a flanking bullet time. Not sure about that one, as the curtains were called, but Zeka not going to end the show just yet. And it looks like it's just Delight going down. And Gumayusi running a weird direction, might actually be able to catch up to Canyon with those Swifties, but not able to do so.
The biggest part of this TP trade this time around for the top laners is, okay, we're not done yet, because this time it's Zeka.
Yeah, we got another one. Keen just built Chovy a better Rod of Ages, but Zeka's making his way in. That's a great knock-up from Keen. Chovy flashes, and Keen stays alive. That was about as well as you could have played that, and Gen G succeed.
Yeah, they get away. Chovy has to flash, but that's all they're going to get. They're trying to set up for a potential turret take here, but it's going to take too long, and also a big wave is being lost by Guma right now in the mid lane. This game is crazy. Okay, so in this TP trade, this time they can cut the HLE members apart into 3 quadrants. Really, look at where Guma is on the other side. He can't get access. The knockbacks here split the fight into 3 different pieces of a triangle, and even though his equalizer placement is great for a potential punish here onto Canyon, they just don't quite have the damage. Zeka's pushed away, and the Duro interrupts another bullet time with a charge there into Guma. He has to just run away.
I think Justice for supports might be coming on through here for this game, as both Delight and Duro have been instrumental, but Duro especially on this Poppy has been so impactful. Gen G wanting to lock themselves down this soul point, but HLE have control of the pit right now. Keen goes in, doesn't find the angle towards Zeka, but they are very durable. Steadfast Presence now on cooldown. It is HLE that even out the Dragons. And no one is dead as a result. Ruler comes on over. We'll be able to grab some overgrowth here as Deadly Flourish and everything else. He just yells because he's angry. And that is the Ram coming on down. Gen G controlling the battlefield, but now a lot of these cooldowns have been used. Phenomenal knock-up here from Keen as the bullets fly. And HLE have been entirely split. The equalizer doesn't do too much, but it does slow them down. Deadly Flourish here is now they're looking to turn onto this outer turret. And man, it was like almost a team fight, but not. And was just all control of this area that Gen G 2 managed to claim in the end.
I'd call it a team fight. It just didn't end up with anybody dying. It ended up with a turret dying for Gen G, and Again, the space control has been so much better for Gen.G in these last few fights. They have really just dismantled HLE's combo comp. And in this fight in specific, they go for Kanavi because he has Flash and Ultimate ready. And they were just like, no, we're not letting you combo with Guma, with Zeus in this fight. We're going to push you away. And Kanavi ended up getting chunked down to half health at the beginning of the fight and wasn't ever able to gain access. So once HANWHA were split like that, they had no choice but to leave or otherwise risk getting completely routed. And as a result, the turret falls down. I don't know if we're going to take another look at it or not since nobody died, but it was very clean. If you want to watch it yourself, just go watch Kanavi and the zone that Gen.G had onto him in that last fight.
Yeah, beautifully played here by Gen.G. They are still behind by about 1,000 gold, but as we tick towards 25 minutes into the game, that is not a very large sum. Keen does complete his Jack shows, but there is also a second item from Zeus immediately to come on through as Duro. Let's get a control ward down. Kanavi spots him out there. As Chovy gets an idea that he might have a few friends coming on up. Kanavi spotted though, and will just back away.
This is a clean
resets coming in from a lot of people, actually.
Clean game of League of Legends. You know, there's been an occasional blunder here or there. Canyon going in.
Yeah, these are teams desperate for a bounce back, and I think that they have both really locked in for this one.
You could just feel the tension in this kind of lull state we have here. We're 2 dragons apiece. No one wants to make a proactive play that could toss this otherwise completely even game into total disarray. You have a lead for the Misfortune, right? But that lead matters very little later on in the game because the Jhin has so much setup in this draft with the Ornn that's pumping out ornaments like crazy right now. Zeka is going to potentially be a target of a progressive play here for Gen.G, but instead has his friends coming over and they just back away. Both top laners again ready to TP in.
Oh yeah. And I think, yeah, Keen might be ready to give away LDR pretty soon as well. Yeah, so Gumayusi sitting on 3 items. And the third one that Rule is going to purchase is going to be that rapid fire cannon, so not necessarily feeling like a huge spike there. Does need armor penetration afterwards and infinity edge after that.
They're just trying to whittle down this turret right now on the top side, but it's not going to happen on this wave. Chovy is just going to leave that ultimate ticking. And it's very Chovy. He is actually behind on farm. Rare situation for this mid laner, but eventually will whittle this turret down to 0 now on the next wave. And HLE don't group to contest this because they realize that the value gain for an outer turret and top is not worth trying to force a fight where they don't have set up the plan into a Poppy and they might toss the game for it. But that's kind of been the story of the last few passages of play. Even that play we were arguing whether it's team fight or not was another one of those moments where it's like Gen.G controls space, but they're not going to take one step further. And HANWHA Life Esports are also not going to challenge. They're just going to walk away and let the turret go because it's just not worth the risk.
Well, Keen misses a cannon there. A little bit unfortunate, but he still gets to level 16. Needs to give some more items over to his teammates.
We're talking about how to make the surefire team fight happen. It's Canyon and Kanavi, right? They're the ones who actually have the most agency to set up a fight. Sure, the Poppy can warp a team fight too, but not necessarily on her own. So keep your eyes on the junglers. Right now, Kanavi down a level.
Yeah. Canyon, if he manages to catch Gumayusi out of position, if Gumi uses a bullet time and Canyon spots it, he's able to get that kick flash, does have access to both of those buttons.
Gen.G have so much control over the map right now, despite the small gold deficit they find themselves in. They have Prio on this dragon, they've got Chovy pushing waves topside, just being that hard pushing Anivia that has no answer right now.
Yeah, Stormraze is also upgraded, and Canyon also gets his Sundered Sky upgraded. That's a lot of extra stats here for Gen.G.
It's a K-Ram now.
Well, let's see who's going to win out on this one. As the Glacial Storm comes in and controlling the battlefield. That's something that Gen.G's composition does extremely well. Even Keen just constructing random things over the sides here. There's good stun, lands, and there's a triple knockup from Keen. But they do not overcommit into anything here. Now the Ram comes down, and they look to try and separate Zeka. The curtains are being called. He flashes over the wall, but the bullets follow. 1, 2, 3, 4, all layered into HLE, and then they wall them off. The bullet time to eradicate the minion wave, and they will successfully stop them from taking this inner turret.
It's another
but then
play.
Gen.G get to go back to the dragon.
It's another play where HANWHA just run away, and Gen.G get the objective they're looking for. Now, Canyon should be able to solo the dragon. I don't think HLE HLE can trade for Baron. There's not enough control. They took too much damage. They had to back, and GenG are going to get soul point after a deathless
Oh no, there's the slam into the crystallized, but Kanavi will survive. He gets the ultimate out of Delight, but it's just not going to be enough for them to actually get a counter fight. And the bullet time, the Make It Rain comes down to slow the approach, but this is still HLE losing because there's Infernal Soul over to GenG, and they retain control of the map. This is such a weird game.
This is a dubstep song without a drop.
Yes! Hold! Come on, chat, you know what to do.
You know what to do, but eventually we're going to get to a point where GenG keep getting these small advantages, keep getting too much map control, and they actually get the kill they're looking for. Right now, Zeka's down his flash. Maybe he's not so lucky the next time they meet in that neutral setup. Maybe he does go down if GenG try to make a play happen around this Baron. And GenG also have one step closer to that permanent Infernal Soul buff, which would do wonders for them. It's not the most easy comp to proc it, but it is going to do a lot for the damage here of Chovy, of Ruler in these moments, especially also even Canyon getting into the backline, looking for that burst onto Guma. And they are now going to clear this vision on Baron. Like I said, GenG are slowly creeping across the map and forcing HANWHA to take these uncomfortable fights that they're just not willing to take. But even though nobody dies and they don't take the fight, GenG keep getting small advantages, and that gold lead is basically 0 here for HLE. But I think GenG are ahead in this game for as
100%.
long as they can control the map, which right now has been kind of permanent.
There's only one more ornament to deliver, and it's going to be over to Duro when Keen gets around to hitting level 17, which is going to be very, very soon. The problem is, GenG's composition is just so hard to fight into, right? HLE need to be able to control an area and then be able to turn with equalizers and then get these pincers and flanks and things like that. But GenG just have so many defensive options, as well as the Glacial Storm, and Chovy just in general doing so much damage at this stage of the game.
That's why HANWHA just keep noping out of the fights, because they just can't do it.
Not to mention Duro just says nope for them and sends them home.
Kanavi, who's their best setup engage here, but it's also a Shen that could do some engaging, but they're so combo-based with this Gumayusi Misfortune pick that if the conditions aren't right for the fight, they just can't take it. And they can't even afford to try to equalize and watch GenG walk away, because they need that tool as well. And I think this composition from behind here as HLE is just so tricky to pull off, like you're saying, that they just aren't finding the agency, as Zeus might be the first caught.
Yeah, there's a kickback onto the Rumble. He has to flash away with the heroic charge, and then the safeguard out. Duro will survive the bullet time as well, as Kanavi looks for an angle, but Chovy stuns him up. Glacial Storm comes down. He has to flash. Deadly Flourish is going to go wipe it now. Keen is looking to put the screws in, and the curtains may actually be called this time. Great knock-up as Delight is going to be sent to the skies. But what GenG want is just more turrets, more map control, and more access to the Baron Pit, and maybe this Dragon in 2 minutes.
GenG are so patient in this game, and they just wait and wait and wait, and keep pushing and pushing and pushing with this wave clear until eventually someone makes a mistake, and that someone is Zeus here. Canyon gets the slow with the smite, he gets the kick, the damage comes through, he's shoved into the wall. There's no equalizer to speak of here. It's a trade of top laner for most of a support's health bar here, and Kanavi was trying to set up for something here, but they are just caught and pushed back. Kanavi ends up eating the ult there, but the siege onto the turret is real. Delight is the body that's found, and down goes the turret. Again, it's just one kill, and they get so much from it.
Yeah, and I feel like HLE's composition should do way more damage, but GenG's composition is so good at denying their ability to do it.
Can't get there to do it, like you're saying, and
GenG's comp just doesn't do a lot of damage, personally. It's just like it's got a gen,
that's also why
so no one dies.
They can't get the multi-kills. But also HANWHA are running away because they know that. It's going to take a big team fight here for HANWHA Life, or a big mistake from GenG for them to get back that control. Now, if they do get it back, the tables will flip completely, and HANWHA Life Esports will be like, okay, well, your comp doesn't work when you have to be the aggressor either, as we've seen multiple times in this game with, flanking Oner that we saw in the early game, for example. But Chovy's just been given so much of a leash here in this game to just hard farm topside. He's starting to whittle down on this turret as well. He got the whole top turret by himself, basically, 10 minutes ago.
Oh, look at this. GenG protecting the ruler spot. is pretty nice. Kanavi going to get slowed down, stunned up momentarily, but Zeka waiting in the wings. And this snake will be so frightening. But look at Keen. He is a brick wall. Just uses his shield in order to soak a whole bunch of that damage. Deadly Flourish doesn't actually land. And now HLE, they get to the dragon first. Chovy still towards the top side alongside Zeus, so a 4 versus 4 here in the pit. Let's see what Duro can do. If he manages to get a good ulti here, they could just guarantee Infernal Soul. The train comes down, it's missed as Cataclysm comes in, but there's a Keeper's Verdict, and GENG, they cut them off. Kanavi taken out, Delight nowhere to go. Zeus comes in, it's a decent equalizer, but not good enough. Deadly Flourish, and another shot will do it. Chovy teleports down, and GENG may have just won the game.
I think GENG are saying GG, as it looks like this is the end of the game loss streak for them in round 3 as Guma desperately tries to clear the way, but he's the target.
Heroic charge, just beautiful. The Crystallize was waited for, but it does deal with the wave. And GENG might actually like the idea of heading towards Baron instead.
I hope we get a replay of that last fight on the Dragon, because you'll notice that Zeus can't TP. Where does he go? Into the waiting arms of GENG? He has no TP ward. If he goes to the left side next to Duro, he's going to be vulnerable for a collapse. And while they're waiting and thinking about it, Duro channels the ultimate.
Oh, it's so good!
Double knockback. And then Chovy gets here first, and it's, again, the late desperate TP, because Zeus is like, well, I got to show up! And he's still teleporting into 3 people by the end of it. And the fight is completely cut up and split. GENG, surgical and oppressive, the immovable rock that is this composition, just continues to smash HANWHA Life Esports into very small pieces.
And Duro going to be able to upgrade his Locket of the Iron Solari as well. So all 5 ornaments have been doled out. Look at Chovy's buffs, man. That's insane. That's red buff, soul, blue buff, Baron. My gosh, just needs an Elder and he'll have the whole set. But I don't know whether we're going to be waiting 4.5 minutes unless something goes very wrong.
I mean, we already have talked about how hard it is for HLE to make proactive plays, but now their backs are against their base. They're not really finding an angle. They're sending Kanavi for side lane duty.
And if their backs are against a wall, then they're going to get knocked up by Keen, stunned by Duro. Chovy's going to put another wall down. That's not where you want to be. Backs against the wall is the worst place to be in this composition.
That's why they're standing behind it now.
Yeah. Kanavi is going to complete his GA before Canyon gets his. Because Canyon went for a different 3rd item in the Maw of Malmortius first. But look at this siege, man. They can put the walls down. They can protect these siege minions. As Duro looking for a flanking, goes Kanavi looking for Chovy. They throw down the equalizer. There's the Stand United, and now it's Keen's turn to start the engage. Only hits it onto 2 as they're looking to try and focus down this turret before anything else. And Canyon, just in this mid lane, taking down the inhibitor. Inhibitor turret is going to fall. And now Delight's turn to try and go in. They put Chovy down to the egg. They take him out with the bullet time. Gumayusi has done his job, but now the curtains are going to get called. Delight the first to go down. The 4th shot connects onto Kanavi, but it's not enough to do the damage. And now Zeka gets tagged. Oh, there's the double knockup from Keen. Smashes the brittle. Ruler is just reloading in their faces. And down to the GA goes Kanavi. Not going to find the flag because the real carry this game is the Orn. As Ruler chasing after Gumayusi, and he will find a dancing grenade. Guma is going to get slammed into the wall. Zeus is there with the flamethrower, and down goes the Poppy. But they take out Zeus, and GENG, I think, will be able to finish this game.
There's just too many minions here. Keen's at full health. Some heroics attempted from Guma. He got the flash, he got the kill on the Duro, but he couldn't get access in the fight. He got Chovy, but that's all he's gonna get. And GENG,
look at how tanky Keen is. This is absolutely absurd. The Nexus is gonna go down before the Fountain Laser would have any chance of killing him. And there it goes. GENG will break.